Ready? All right, good morning. So today we'll start in child's pose. A child's pose that's comfortable for you. I'm going to go big toes together, knees apart, and then walk the hands forward. But if that's uncomfortable for any reason, you could bring the knees and feet all the way together and still do it this way. Another option is to bring a blanket behind the knees or a towel, whatever you have. You could even do a pillow if it's the right size behind the knees, and you can go that way. And if none of those are working, you can just lie flat on your stomach with your head resting on your hands like a pillow. So get the forehead down to rest on something, even if it doesn't touch the mat. Try to bridge that gap with something that you have nearby so that we connect that pressure point in the forehead to something so that the relaxation response begins to kick in. And then you'll push the hips back toward the heels. At the same time, you're crawling those fingertips forward. And that's where your stretch comes in. So hips go back, fingertips forward. Eyes can be softly open or closed. And you can start to move the head side to side. So now that you have the forehead touching something, you're just going side to side, almost like an eyebrow massage, but really you should be a little higher than that with the touch point on the forehead. And you'll start to notice that things begin to slow down and you start to feel a little more calm than when you first got to your mat. You'll find center on the forehead. Take a deeper breath in through the nose. And as you stretch the fingertips forward, feel the rib cage widen. And exhale, bring it all back in. Inhale, open up. Belly goes between the thighs. And then exhale, let it go. Inhale. Slow exhale. Keep going on your own with your Ujjayi breath. In through the nose, back out through the nose. And you'll begin to lift the head, looking forward at the hands. Walk the hands in so they're underneath the shoulders. Come to tabletop. So separate the feet, bring them hip width distance apart. And we'll just do some rounds of cat-cow breath. On the inhale, reach the heart forward. On the exhale, round the whole spine, chin comes in toward the chest. And then you keep going with your own breath, inhaling forward, exhaling back. Maybe eyes are closed so you can stay inside, feeling what it is you need out of your practice today. One more cycle, forward and back. And then you'll come back to a neutral spine, hands and knees, and you'll reach the right arm up, open up across the chest, thread this right arm through underneath you and come down onto the side of the face. And that left hand there is kind of your brake and your gas. So you can press into it to roll the chest open. And if you go too far, you just come back toward it. So finding that nice stretch, keeping that left hand pretty firm on the mat so that you can feel the spine begin to open, the chest start to open. And we're just keeping the left hand here. Sometimes we stretch it forward. We're staying right here today. Hips still over the knees. And you're still reaching those right fingertips away from you. So you feel some broadening across the back of the shoulder on the right side. You'll begin to press into the left hand to start to lift yourself back up and reach the right arm up. So feel that space you just made. Open up the right side chest. Right hand will come down underneath the shoulder. Left arm begins to reach up. Maybe it feels a little stiff or tight. That's fine. We'll open it. Left arm comes through underneath you. Start to set the left side of the face down onto the mat. Right hand is right in front of the face. You can start to press into the right hand to roll back. So opening up the chest, you're more toward the ear than the nose with what's touching the mat on the left side of the face. Coming into your breath. Press down into the right hand to lift yourself back up. Reach that left arm all the way back up. Open up and bring the left hand back down to the mat. So walk the hands forward so they're way ahead of the shoulders and begin to shift forward onto the knees. Bring yourself all the way down to the mat. So you're lying down flat. And then from here, left forearm comes in front of the face, bend the right leg, reach back, grab for the right foot. So that right knee sometimes wants to go out to the right when we do this. Make sure it's pointing straight back. So it's right in line with the hip. And you're just trying to open up the quad. So lengthen the top of the thigh away from you, bringing the heel in toward the glute. Gently release that right foot back, right forearm in front of the face, bend the left leg, reach back, grab for the foot, get that left knee in line with the hip so it's not going out to the side. A nice way to think about it too is imagine you're standing on the right leg. You'd want that left knee right underneath you and begin to breathe into this quad stretch. Start to release the left foot back behind you, hands back by the lower ribs, setting up for a baby cobra. Press into the tops of the feet. Inhale, lift and spread the chest. Doesn't need to be very high. And exhale, release. Two more like that. Inhale up. Each one can get a little bit higher if you're feeling up for it. Exhale, let that go. Inhale, back up. Exhale, release. Come back up to hands and knees. Walk the hands back until they're underneath the shoulders. Hips are over the knees. And then step the left toes back behind you. So toes are staying down on the mat. You can just start to make circles like you're drawing a circle on the ceiling with the left heel. So go in one direction a few times and then go the other way. And then come to center, spin that left heel down flat. You'll probably need to walk it back so that the right toes point to the arch of the left foot. Right hand can go out to the right, so giving yourself a wider base. Lift the left arm up and you're a modified side plank. So that left foot can stay down on the mat. Just focus on opening up across the chest, hugging the core in and hugging that outer right hip in. Stay here, or maybe you start to press down a little bit more into the right leg, lifting the left leg, but those left toes point straight forward. Sometimes they want to point up. Make sure you keep them forward. And then from here, you can stay right here, pressing out to the sole of the left foot, or you can reach back with the left arm, lowering the shoulder away from the ear. Point the left toes, maybe bend the left leg, and see if you can grab the foot. And it's the similar thing here. Lengthen the quad, keep reaching the chest forward. So the chest and the thigh are moving away from one another. And this definitely requires a little bit more balance, but that right hand's out to the right. So hopefully that's helping you stay in the pose and stay with the breath. If you have the foot with control, gently release it. Reach the left arm all the way back up. Left leg is still lifted. And you'll slowly bring that left hand back down underneath you, neutralizing the hips. Left knee comes down to the mat. Right foot steps back, keep the toes down, and just take those circles to start. It's a nice way to open up the calf. And go the other direction with your circles. Come to stillness, finding center. Right heel comes down flat. You probably need to walk it back a little bit. So left toes point to the arch of the right foot. Then look at the left hand. Bring that out to the left. And then start to open the chest, reaching the right arm up, coming into your modified side plank. And then as you open up across the chest, you hug the belly in, hug that outer left hip in. Maybe you press down into the left shin to reach the right leg up. So make sure you're pressing out through the sole of the foot using all those muscles in the right leg. Right toes pointing straight forward. Reach back with the right arm, lower the shoulder, and then point the right toes on the lifted foot. Bend the right leg. Maybe the hand and the foot connect. And then you find that stretch. Quad moves away from you, chest moves forward. Breathe. With control, gently release that right foot. Right arm reaches all the way back up to the sky. Then bring the right hand back down to the mat, neutralizing the hips, hand underneath you, right knee underneath you. Walk the hands forward ahead of the shoulders, tuck the toes, lift the hips, downward facing dog. So first down dog, try to get those heels down toward the mat. If you're feeling some good length in the back sides of the legs, it might feel nice to get that stretch there. Then from your downward facing dog, walk the hands back toward the feet at the back of the mat. And then once you get the hands underneath the shoulders, widen the feet. So go wider than hip width distance, closer to the outer edges of the mat. You can clasp opposite elbows, let the head and the neck go. You can stay here and just hold still, or if it feels okay in your body, you could gently sway slowly side to side. You're pulling those elbows down toward the mat so the back feels really long. And see if you can keep the weight falling more toward the balls of the feet than the heels of the feet. Switch the clasp of the elbows, other forearm in front. Bring the hands back down in front of the shoulders, lifting the chest up halfway, heel toe the feet back to hip width distance. Begin to walk the hands forward, coming back to your downward facing dog. Right leg lifts up and back. Try not to open up the hip. Just press out through that right heel. And then bring that right foot all the way through, up between the hands, coming into a lunge. And then once you get to your lunge, left hand underneath the left shoulder, right arm reaches up for a twist. Keep stretching that left heel back and keeping control of the left hip. So it should feel like it's hugging in toward the midline. Then bring the right hand back down to the mat. Set the left knee down to the mat. Reach the arms up. And then here, maybe clasp opposite elbows. If it's not happening, just keep the arms reaching up. If you clasp opposite elbows, it's like you're pulling the elbows up. So there's a little bit of a back bend as much as you want. So hug the belly in, reach the chest up, keep pulling the elbows up, lengthening the tailbone. Then reach the arms all the way back up. If you took that option, hands come back down to the mat, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, step back, downward facing dog. Left leg reaches up and back. Knee to nose, just step that left foot all the way through to the top of the mat. Keep the back knee lifted, feet hip width distance apart, right hand underneath the right shoulder. Lift the left arm up. Find that twist. Open up across the chest. So it's almost like you're leaning back with the chest, but keep that right hip hugging in at the same time and the left knee pointing forward. Left hand comes back down to the mat. Right knee comes down to the mat. Toes tucks, probably a good idea. Reach the arms all the way up. Maybe clasp opposite elbows if you did it on the first side. Try to go the other way. So other forearm in front. Then pull those elbows up. Lift the chest, lengthen the tailbone. Reach the arms all the way back up. Hands come down to the mat. Back to downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward, step or walk the feet forward up between the hands. Take your time getting there. Come into a forward fold, top of the mat. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. 2 more times with that one. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Last one. Exhale, release. This time, inhale, circle the arms all the way up. Bring the hands together at the very top and down in front of the heart. Inhale, circle the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, just doing a half. Inhale, rise all the way back up to standing. Bring the hands together overhead, down in front of the heart. One more like that, half Surya A. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold, bring it all the way back down. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Rise all the way back up to standing. Bring the hands together overhead, down in front of the heart. Full rounds. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling up halfway. Exhale, plant the hands, bend the knees, step back to plank pose. Hold plank pose. Stack the shoulders over the wrists. Push the mat away from you. Reach the chest forward, and maybe the gaze goes forward a little bit to help you lengthen the front side of the body. Keep pulling those legs back at the same time and hugging the core in. Biceps go forward, triceps go back. And you stay with that steady Ujjayi breath. Knees can come down whenever you want, but building a little bit of heat and focus in your plank pose, trying to distribute the weight evenly into the hands. So the fingers are spread and you're not rolling to the outer edge of the hand or the inner edge of the hand. It's just even. And then from here, lower down halfway chaturanga, hold all the way down to the mat. Tops of the feet come down. Inhale up, cobra. Maybe a little higher, pubic bone stays down and elbows are always bent. Exhale, release. Downward facing dog. You could take hands and knees to get there or fire up the body, come back to plank pose, and then downward facing dog. Push those shoulders way back behind the wrist. Push the hips up and back. Let the heels come down toward the mat. Then bending the knees, look forward to the top of the mat, step, hop, bring the feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up to standing. Bring the hands together overhead and down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands down, back to plank pose. Lower down halfway, chaturanga, cobra or up dog. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward, bring the feet forward. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. All the way up on your inhale. Circle the arms out wide. Hands together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling up halfway. Exhale, hands down, back to plank. Lower down halfway, chaturanga. Inhale up for your back bend. Nice open chest, shoulders down the back. Good. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Bending the knees, look forward to the top of the mat, bring the feet up. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up to standing. Hands come together, down in front of the heart. Last cycle, Surya A. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling up halfway. Exhale, hands down, back to plank pose. Take your vinyasa with the rhythm of your own breath, eventually ending up in downward facing dog. Lift the right leg up and back. Step the right foot all the way through up between the hands. So you're coming into a runner's lunge, but come up onto the fingertips. You could even use blocks here if you want. So the chest is lifting, hips can go a little bit lower. Put a bend in the back knee. So both knees are bent, and then see if you can distribute the weight evenly in the legs. So we like to go forward into that front leg. See if you can put more weight in the back leg. Keep both legs bent. You're coming up to crescent, but that back knee is going to stay bent. So press down into the feet, reach the arms up. It's going to be low. That left knee's hovering over the mat. And then start to rise up. So the back leg doesn't need to be all the way straight. You're trying to preserve the length of the lower back and the hips. Keep squaring the chest forward, hips forward, reaching up. Maybe you clasp opposite elbows and pull those elbows up, but lengthen the tailbone so it wants to stick out. You're pressing the tailbone into the pubic bone and the pubic bone back into the tailbone as you reach the elbows up and the chest lifts. Then reach the arms all the way back up. Bring the hands down to the mat. Set that left knee down to the mat. And then shift that left knee as far back as you can. So you want it way behind the hip. Tucking the toes and shifting the knee back helps a lot. So left hand comes down to the mat. It could even go wider than the left shoulder. Right hand comes to the right hip. Open the chest to the right. So that should feel pretty good on the hips. You can stay right here. If that left knee can go back more, let it go back more. And then maybe that left foot comes in toward the glute and you reach back, grabbing for the foot. This is not easy for a lot of us because the quad is such a tight group of muscles to get into. So if you can't connect the hand and the foot and you're just reaching, lose that. Just let the foot come down and bring the right hand to the right hip. You're still getting a nice opening there. Otherwise, you'll just cramp the hamstring and you want to avoid that. Right hand comes back down to the mat outside the foot. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, step straight back, downward facing dog. Left leg goes up and back. Step that left foot through, up between the hands. Find that runner's lunge coming up onto the fingertips, lifting the chest. And now play with bending the back knee without touching the mat. Shift the weight so you're even in both legs, or as even as you can get. There's probably still going to be more weight in the front leg. And then think about it before you come up. Crescent, keeping that back knee bent. Reach the arms up. So you should feel lots of length in the lower back behind the hips too. Start to press up to crescent. Don't worry about if that leg goes all the way straight. You're just trying to listen to the lower back. Then clasp opposite elbows the other way. Lift the elbows up, tailbone into the pubic bone back into the tailbone. Maybe you look up if you're feeling pretty good. Then reach the arms all the way back up. Hands will make their way back down to the mat, nice and slow. Right knee makes its way down to the mat. And here's where we shift that right knee as far back as we can. So keep those right toes tucked, push that right knee way back. Right hand can even go out to the right a little bit, so you keep it wider. Left hand to the hip, open the chest first, see how that feels. Once the right knee is as far back as you can get it, play with bringing the foot in toward the body, reaching back and grabbing for the foot. And maybe one side worked and the other side didn't. That's fine. You know, your option is to just, if the foot and the hand aren't connecting, just bring the left hand to the left hip and keep opening up across the chest. Gently release the right foot if you have it. Left hand comes back down to the mat. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, step back to downward facing dog. Stay in downward facing dog unless you want a vinyasa. Glide forward to plank pose, lower down halfway chaturanga. Inhale up for your back bend. Exhaling back to downward facing dog. Bending the knees, looking forward to the top of the mat, bring the feet up between the hands. Inhaling up halfway. Exhale, fold. Let's take chair pose on the inhale. Bend the knees, reaching the arms up. Rise all the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, sit back, chair pose. Start to lower the hips, but keep the chest lifted. And then see if you can hover in the lowest squat possible, toes pointing forward, which is a lot to ask of the body, eventually ending up in Navasana. So setting the hips down, reaching the feet up, reaching the arms forward and leaning back. So you're squeezing those thighs together. Looking up helps the chest point up and helps you keep that nice long spine. You can stay just like this. You can grab onto the backs of the thighs. That's another good modification. Or you can bring the hands out wide and let the fingertips touch the mat, whichever one. And then if you want to take Ardha Navasana, you can, but you don't have to. That definitely intensifies things. If you're going for it, extend the legs forward, hover the heels and the shoulders, and then work your way back up to Navasana, looking up the whole time. 2 more if you want them. Lower down halfway. Back up. Lower down, Ardha Navasana. Back up, Navasana. And then 2 ways, we're coming back to chair pose. You can use the hands and come back to chair pose, or maybe you play with some rocks, grabbing onto the backs of the thighs, rocking forward and back, seeing if you can build up enough momentum to possibly make it back to chair pose with as little assistance as possible from the hands. So it should feel like you're doing a sit-up when you get enough momentum and you come back to chair. And then exhale, forward fold, straighten the legs, let the head and the neck go. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. So fingertips come to the mat, step that left foot back, feet hip width distance apart, bend the back knee, lift the chest. You're up on the fingertips so the chest can be lifted a little bit higher. We're coming back to that bent leg crescent. So both legs bend, reach the arms up, start to press yourself up to crescent pose, but keep the back knee bent. Feel that space in the lower back. And then maybe you work toward a straighter back leg. And then from here, take warrior two. Spin that left heel down flat. Right foot's probably going to have to heel toe in a little bit toward the center of the mat. Spread the arms out wide. Open the left side chest. So you're reaching back with that left arm. And then straighten the front leg. Heel toe the back foot in a little bit. You'll want a shorter stance for this triangle. Start to reach forward with the right arm. Bring the right hand down, left arm up. Trikonasana triangle pose. And if you have a block would be a good idea underneath the right hand, just outside of the calf. So it's pretty far back. It's block and hand are right underneath the shoulder. And look down at the right foot. Bend the right knee a lot. If you're using a block, reach forward as far as you can, block or no block, ahead of the pinky toe. And you can hop the back foot in a couple of times. You're transitioning to half moon. Start to shift the weight forward to the front foot and then lift that left leg up, opening up across the chest. Put a bend in the standing leg, that right knee, and get that right hip behind the knee so it's not going out to the right. And then start to straighten the leg as much as you want. You can keep a bend in it. Keep reaching the arms away from one another. And then maybe you reach the left arm back and you grab the left foot. So you bend the left leg, grab the foot for Chapasana. And similar that thing that we've been doing, thigh lengthens away from you, chest reaches forward, and then you're standing tall on the right leg. If you have the foot, come back to half moon, take your time, do it with control. Step back to triangle pose. Bend the front leg so you can reach back with the left leg, then straighten the front leg back in Trikonasana. Then press yourself up to standing, arms out wide, bring the hands to the hips. Turn those right toes in so you're facing the side of the mat. And then bring the heels in, toes out a little bit. Bend the left leg, straighten the right. So Skandasana, you can keep the soles of the feet down for a higher Skandasana. Chest is lifted, hips are lifted. Or if you're feeling pretty good, you could lunge in that left leg coming down into this side lunge. Toes would come up, but you're always pulling that right heel in instead of pushing it away from you. Lift the chest wherever you are. Hands come down to the mat wherever you are. Point the toes straight forward. Lift up halfway. Left hand in front of the face. Right arm reaches up for a twist. So you're twisting toward the front of the mat. Legs are straight. Although if you feel like you'd get more length in the spine, you could put a bend in the knees. And if you're not sure, try it and see which one gives you more length. Right hand comes back down in front of you. Turn the toes to the top of the mat. Set the block off to the side if you're using it. Step back to plank pose, optional vinyasa on the way to downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward, feet forward. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Chair pose on the inhale. All the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, sit back, chair pose. Start to lower the hips down toward the mat, but keep the chest lifted. See if you can hover in a squat with the toes pointing forward. Gently set the hips down, reach the feet up, Navasana. Any of those options we talked about before. Arms reaching forward, palms up, chest up, or maybe you support the backs of the thighs with the hands or the hands out wide. And you can just hold Navasana and focus on the breath. That's really good there too. Otherwise, Ardha Navasana. Keep reaching forward, back up, Navasana. Make sure inner thighs are engaged. Exhale, Ardha Navasana. Inhale, back up, Navasana. One more if you want it. Lower down, back up. Either use hands to get back to chair pose or grab onto the backs of the thighs. Start to take those rocks. You have plenty of time here, maybe 4 or 5 rocks to get that momentum you might need to get to chair pose with or without the hands, or maybe a little bit of the hands. And then exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Let the head and the neck go. Inhale up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold, fingertips to the mat. Step that right foot back, feet hip width distance apart. Bend the back knee, start to distribute the weight evenly into both legs. Reach the arms up, keeping that back knee bent. And then start to rise up to Crescent Pose. Maybe the back leg straightens a whole lot more. Open it up, Warrior Two. So that right hip is pushing the left hip forward. That'll keep the head over the hips and give you more space in the left hip. So it pulls the hip away from the thigh. Straighten the front leg. I'd recommend shortening the stance, heel toeing that back foot in. You know where we're headed. Take triangle, reaching that left arm forward, then bring it down, right arm up, Trikonasana. Block if you want it outside the calf. Look down at the left foot, bend the left knee, stretch those fingertips ahead of the pinky toe as far as you can get them, and then start to shift the weight forward to the left leg, half moon. Hop the back foot in or press up that right leg. Open up across the chest. And then once you get there, put a bend in that standing leg, hug that outer left hip in so it's right behind the knee, and then you can work toward a straighter leg. Keep opening up the chest wide, pressing out through that right heel. Maybe you stay here or reach back with the right hand. Coming up under the fingertips really helps. So you lift the chest, point those right toes, bend the right leg, and maybe the foot and the hand connect for Chapasana. Lengthen the quad away from you. Keep reaching the chest forward. Sacrum area is nice and broad, so you're not taking away space. And if you have that, gently release the foot, come back to Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. Triangle pose, nice and slow. You have to bend the standing leg, reach back with that right foot nice and light, and then straighten the front leg. Come up to standing, hug the core in, arms out wide, hands come to the hips, turn those left toes in to face the side of the mat, and then heels in, toes out a little bit, not as wide as you can go. And then maybe a half skandasana with the feet both down on the mat, or maybe you come down lower with the hips, left toes come up, and you lift the chest. Keep pulling that left heel in. Hands come down to the mat, shift back to straight legs, toes pointing straight forward or a little bit in. Right hand underneath the face, so it's a little bit more forward. Left arm reaches up, you're twisting toward the top of the mat. Up to you if you have a bend in the legs. Use it if it gives you more length in the spine. Left hand comes back down in front of you. Turn the toes to the top of the mat. Step back to downward facing dog. Stay there for 5 breaths or take a vinyasa. Glide forward to plank, lower down halfway. Inhale up, exhale back. This time, reach the right leg up and back, 3-legged down dog. Step the right foot all the way through, up between the hands, feet hip width distance apart. Put a bend in the back knee, reach the chest up. Start to hover the fingertips away from the mat. Reach the arms all the way up. Slow rise to crescent pose, maybe straightening the back leg, but keeping the bend in the front. Then bring the hands together down in front of the heart. Find a twist. So open the chest to the right. Maybe you hook the elbow outside of the right thigh. And you can always bring that back knee down if you want to, and if this is feeling too intense. Another way to increase the intensity is to open the arms up wide. So if the shoulders feel open enough, you're feeling like you can stay steady with the breath, maybe you consider that. Hands come back together if you took that option, back down to the mat, lower that back knee, shift that back knee as far back as you can, left hand out to the left, right hand to the hip, open up across the chest, still in the twist in the same direction. You can stay right here, or maybe if it's feeling good, you reach back, grab that left foot and bring it in. So 2 ways to do this. You can press the foot into the hand and the hand back into the foot, and then the arm is straight, the right arm, or bend the elbow and bring the foot in as close as you can get it. And that's a pretty deep quad stretch. So you just feel which one's feeling better. You're getting into different areas with those 2 options. Gently release the foot if you have it. Right hand comes down. Let's take half splits. Walk the hands back, shift back so that that front leg is straight. Push it forward until the hips feel even, and then reach the chest forward. Come back onto the sole of the right foot. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, step back to downward facing dog. Stay here or vinyasa. Lift the left leg up and back, 3-legged down dog. Step that left foot all the way through, up between the hands. Look forward, reach the chest forward, start to bend that back knee without touching the mat. Dig down into both legs evenly. Begin to reach the arms up. Find crescent pose, as straight of a back leg as you want. Hands come together down in front of the heart. Begin to lean forward, open the chest to the left. Maybe the elbow hooks outside of the thigh and you open up across the chest. Back knee can come down. Arms can open up wide if you're looking for a deeper variation. Hands come back together if you open them, then back down to the mat. Set that back knee down. Scoot that back knee as far as you can. Right hand out to the right a little bit. Left hand to the hip. Open up across the chest. So you're still opening the chest to the left. Should feel similar to that twist. And then maybe the right foot comes in. You reach back, grab for the right foot. And then here's where you play. Do you want that straight left arm, or do you want to bend at the elbow and bring that foot in? If you have the foot, start to release it. Left hand comes back down to the mat. Shift the hips back. Use the hands to walk them back. Half splits. Then it's like you're trying to reach the chest over the left toes. Come back into a lunge, set the left foot down, hands underneath the shoulders, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, step back to downward facing dog. Last vinyasa, if you want it, glide forward to plank, lower down on the exhale, inhale up for your back bend, exhaling back, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Then bring the knees down to the mat. Bring the forearms down to the mat. So walk the elbows forward as far as you can so they're way ahead of the shoulders, and then bring the forehead down to the mat. So Anahatasana or puppy dog. So hips are over the knees, belly hugs in a little bit, arms are stretching forward. So this might be enough right here. We're going for a nice opening across the upper back, chest area. If you're feeling like you could take it further, you could bring the hands together and back behind the head. And if that happens, start to crawl the elbows forward so you get even longer in the sides of the torso. The hands are behind the head, start to bring them forward, coming back to the way that we started with the hands right in front of the elbows. That's all shoulder width distance apart. Then begin to lift the head, walk the elbows back. So now they're underneath the shoulders. Before they were ahead of them, now they're underneath. And then step the feet back behind you. You're in forearm plank. Keep reaching the chest forward. And then just a quick dolphin. So lift the hips up. Start to walk the feet in toward the face as much as you can. And then open up across the chest and the shoulders. Keep lifting the hips up high and trying to bring more of the weight into the legs as you breathe here. And you can always interlace the fingers. Sometimes that helps if the shoulders are really tight. Otherwise, you can just keep the hands flat and keep pressing into the hands and the forearms. Widening the shoulder blades across the back, hugging the belly in. And then walk it back out to forearm plank. And we'll end this in Sphinx pose. So hips come down to the mat, tops of the feet come down to the mat. Those are hip width distance apart, the feet, and then lift and spread the chest. So what's nice about doing that sequence is for your Sphinx pose, you should feel like the bottom tips of the shoulder blades are pressing the chest forward and opening it up wide. So the front parts of the shoulders feel like they're getting even wider. Back of the neck stays long, still pressing into the hands and the forearms. If you feel like the belly's pushing into the mat, lift it a little bit. Pubic bone stays down, tailbone points back. And then start to come down onto the hands. So you're making a pillow with the hand. Rest the head on the hands, bend the knees, and you can start to move the feet side to side like windshield wipers. And set the feet back down onto the mat. Bring the hands underneath you so that you can press yourself up to tabletop, bringing the feet over to one side and coming to seated on the mat, legs extended out in front of you. And then from here, bring that right foot in as close as you can get it to the hip. Keep a fist width distance apart between that right foot and the left inner thigh. Grab the right leg with the left arm, right fingertips come back behind you. You're coming into a seated twist. So sit up as tall as you can, left toes point up, and then begin to look over the right shoulder. So you're hugging that right knee in with the left arm, but you're also pressing the right knee into the arm at the same time. And that should help you stay even on the sit bones as you stay in this twist. Start to bring the gaze back forward, keeping the body in the twist. Unwind the chest. Sole the right foot inside of the left leg for Janu Shirshasana. Reach the arms all the way up. Point the chest toward the left toes and start to reach forward, coming into your hip opening. So let the hands rest on something, whether that's the mat, the foot, the leg, blocks, whatever you have. And then begin to let the head come down toward the knee. Close the eyes. And start to release, lifting the head back up. You can use the hands to bring yourself back to seated. Right knee comes in, extend the right leg out. Use the left hand to bring that left foot in, bring it in close. Fist width distance between the foot and the inner thigh. Left fingertips back behind you, sit up tall. Wrap that right arm around the leg, open the chest, keep those right toes up. Keep the body where it is. Start to look forward over the right shoulder, over the right toes. Slowly unwind the torso. Left knee goes out to the left. Just grab the foot, bring it inside the leg, and then reach the arms up. Center the chest with the right toes. Fold over the right leg. So any tenderness in the left knee, you need to move the left foot forward. It's in too close. A block can go underneath the left knee too for extra support. Slowly start to come back out of the pose just the way we came in. Use the left hand to bring the knee back to center. Extend the leg out forward in front of you, reaching the arms all the way up. Fold over the legs, Pashimotanasana. Make sure the hands touch something so you're not just floating the arms, reaching. One more inhale. Slow exhale. Slowly start to bring yourself back up to seated and choose if you'd like a seated meditation or if you'd like to come onto your back and take a Shavasana. Whichever one sounds like it would just help you close your practice, give your body a chance to come into stillness, reset the nervous system, and just feel more centered after that quiet time. Eyes are closed wherever you are, dropping into your final moment of your practice. Without moving, start to make your way back. Maybe you deepen the breath. If you're lying on your back, start to find some movement in the hands and the feet. Reach the arms overhead from Shavasana. Rolling over onto the right side. And using the hands to bring yourself up to your meditation seat, sitting up tall, keeping the eyes closed. Noticing how your physical asana part of your practice leads you right into the sweetest meditation. Bring the hands together. Left side of the body meets the right. Bowing the head, honor and acknowledge your heart and spirit, as well as all the people around you, near and far. Bring the head back up, blink open the eyes. Namaste. Thank you.